Imagine a world where the secrets of the universe are locked away in 13 crystal skulls. According to an ancient Native American legend, these skulls are real and contain wisdom that could change the fate of humanity. But why do these skulls exist? What secrets do they hold? And why are they scattered across the world? We will find out together in the new episode of Hidden Origins. Welcome! According to an old Native American legend, there are 13 ancient crystal skulls the size of human skulls with movable jaws that are said to speak or sing. These skulls are believed to contain important information about the origins, purpose, and destiny of mankind and answers to some of the greatest mysteries of life and the universe. The ancient civilization of the Mayans was once one of the most advanced cultures of the ancient world. The mysteries of the Mayan pyramids, Mayan crystal skulls, and Mayan legends have endured for millennia. In the last 15 years, the interest in the Mayan culture has dramatically grown regarding the ending Mayan calendar. In the days before the Mayan calendar was set to end, hundreds of people had been gathering in an archaeological site, once sacred to the Tequesta tribe, to witness a native ritual involving an ancient relic known as the crystal skulls. Since the mystery of the skulls includes a prophecy that in times of conflict or an approaching disaster, their strength could be employed to prevent the catastrophic event from occurring. According to legends, the skulls are containers of great knowledge, wisdom, and information believed to be essential to humanity. It is said that this information is not only important to the future of this planet, but vital to the very survival of the human race. According to these ancient teachings, one day all of the crystal skulls will be rediscovered and brought together for their collective wisdom to be made available. But the human race must first be sufficiently evolved, both morally and spiritually, so as not to abuse this great knowledge. While hundreds of crystal skulls have been found worldwide, only 13 are believed to possess a mystical power. However, dozens of modern skulls have flooded the field, making it difficult to discern the authenticity of the ancient relics. Despite skeptics and scientists denouncing them as hoaxes, enthusiasts claim that as many as 12 of the 13 authentic skulls have been discovered and are in private collections. The story of the 13 skulls begins in 1924 when Frederick Albert Mitchell Hedges, an English adventurer, traveler, and writer, embarked on an expedition to Central America, hoping to find remnants of the extinct civilization of Atlantis. And without knowing it, he finds them in the ruins of the city of Fallen Stones, where the Mayans once lived. The expedition began work on clearing the ancient Mayan city in the humid tropical jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula. That time, British Honduras, now Belize, and 33 hectares of forest that had engulfed barely recognizable ancient buildings were burned to facilitate excavation. When the smoke finally cleared, the participants of the expedition had an amazing sight: stone ruins of a pyramid, city walls, and a huge amphitheater for thousands of spectators. The name of the village is Lubantan, which translated from the Mayan language means City of Fallen Stones. 3 years have passed, and on this next expedition, Mitchell Hedges took his young daughter Anna with him. In April 1927, on the day of her 17th birthday, Anna discovered an incredible object under the ruins of an ancient altar. One of the oldest and most enigmatic crystal skulls ever found, it was a life-size human skull. Made of the finest quartz crystal and beautifully polished, its weight was 13 kilograms with a very decent size, 124 millimeters width, 147 millimeters height, and 197 millimeters in length. True, his lower jaw was missing, but 3 months later, it was also found. It turned out that this crystal piece was suspended on perfectly smooth hinges and began to move at the slightest touch. The local people told Mitchell Hedges that the skull was over 3,600 years old and predates their civilization. After Mitchell Hedges' death, his daughter Anna guarded the skull for more than a decade before allowing it to be studied by Frank Dorland in the 1960s. On careful examination, he discovered a whole system of lenses, prisms, and channels in it, creating unusual optical effects. The eye sockets began to glow when, for example, a torch or candle was placed under them. A similar effect is also observed in some other skulls, in which skillfully made prisms and lenses are also present. The researcher was impressed by the fact that even under a microscope, no traces of processing were visible on this perfectly polished crystal. He speculated that it was first chiseled into rough form, probably using diamonds, and the finer shaping, grinding, and polishing was also achieved through the use of sand over a period of 150 to 300 years. He also speculated that the skull could be up to 12,000 years old, but how was it made? The skull was completely baffling to Dorland, and all kinds of unusual phenomena were happening around it, including strange sounds, smells, and even the skull lighting up a dark room by itself. In its period of time, research conducted in 1964 in a special crystal laboratory of the Hewlett-Packard Company also showed that the skull was made long before the appearance of the first civilizations in this part of America. The place where the skull was made turned out to be a mystery. Neither in Mexico or in all of Central America is there a single deposit of such crystal. The only source can be quartz from California. But the crystal skull is of such high quality that it seems impossible that quartz from California was used. What is more, this antediluvian skull was made of a single-piece crystal. So, the findings of these analyses suggested that it was almost impossible for a human being to make the skull, and laboratory tests tell us that it is impossible to duplicate it with modern equipment. So, perhaps the crystal skull was not made by humans at all. Then who created it? Native American tribes have stories about crystal skulls being left behind by their ancestors. And according to legend, the original 13 skulls will reveal sacred knowledge of the gods when they come together to form a global grid. The Native American myths say that there are 12 inhabited planets, and each crystal skull contains the information from one of these planets, including Earth. The 13th skull contains the knowledge of all those planets and serves as a backup. The crystal skulls are believed to be thousands of years old, and some may have extraterrestrial origins. Knowing that in my mythology, extraterrestrial encounters are said to have played a role in their history, we should raise the question, is the Mitchell-Hedges skull an ancient extraterrestrial relic? They were found at different times in history around the world. How do you go and seed? How do you deposit them? The origin of the so-called authentic crystal skulls have been a topic of debate for many years. Museums in London and Paris displayed these skulls as genuine Mesoamerican religious relics in the late 19th century. However, mainstream scientists argue that they are all modern creations and cannot be dated accurately due to the absence of radioactive elements in quartz crystal. Some experts even suggest that modern tools were used to create them, while others believe that ancient civilizations had sophisticated tools to make them. The core message of the idea of the crystal skulls is that our ancestors are divine and ancient. Can the skulls provide a link to mankind's extraterrestrial ancestors? And how do these crystal objects contain such supernatural power? In Melanesia, Oceania, there are tribal legends about twins and a powerful spirit in a crystal skull. According to their mythology, their tribe was founded by a white man and a black man who are twins. Melanesia is home to various classifications of spirits, including ancestral spirits that relate to a particular group's creation story or recently deceased ancestors. The concept of spiritual energy is not limited to people, but also extends to places, objects, plants, and animals. The idea is widespread throughout the South Pacific, where anthropologists refer to the supernatural force as mana. The people in Melanesia hold objects with ancestral spirit energy in high regard and believe that they possess magical power. According to some, the power comes from ancestral sources, and the older the ancestors, the greater the power. These objects are incredibly important to the people in all aspects of life, such as warfare, hunting, gardening, fishing, and other activities beyond human control. It is believed that if these objects are accessed correctly and permission is sought, they can pre-kill an enemy before a battle. Some crystal skulls are known to be used for divination, whereby someone contacts an intelligence that is resident within the crystal skull. Can objects like crystal skulls indeed be possessed by otherworldly spirits, as South Pacific Islanders believe? In 60 AD, Roman soldiers conquered the last strongholds of the Druids, a group of mystics and priests who had been around since the dawn of European civilization. Despite the fact that most of what we know about the Druids comes from their enemies, the Romans, it is clear that the Druids were important leaders and social organizers for the Celtic tribes. The Druids were believed to have many powers, including the ability to hold mystical knowledge, a philosophy of reincarnation, and the use of crystal for telling fortunes and performing ecstatic mystical rituals. The Scottish Highlanders refer to these crystals as stones of power, crystal balls, which were used by seers in more recent times. allowed individuals to slip into a trance state to access information from the gods or spirits. There are theories that ancient cultures accessed other dimensions through crystal objects, and the crystal's unique lattice structure is believed by some to have an other-dimensional quality. The great inventor and scientist Nikola Tesla himself talks about crystals, saying that, in a crystal, we have clear evidence of the existence of a formative life principle. And though we cannot understand the life of a crystal, it is nonetheless a living being. Crystal's ability to communicate interdimensionally could explain why people have used crystal balls throughout history to predict the future or look into the past. It is intriguing to consider that ancient people were aware of the importance of crystals and their high-tech qualities. Some speculate that these high-tech objects may have been used by ancient people or brought to us by extraterrestrials, allowing them for interdimensional communications and assistance. But could this extraordinary power also be used for more sinister purposes? Tibet is known as one of the most ancient and wise cultures of our world. In March 1959, as the Chinese invaded Lhasa and numerous attempts by Tibetans were made to flee the landlocked country through the high mountain peaks of the Himalayas, a life-threatening route full of perils from the forces of nature and risks of punishment from communist China. The Dalai Lama himself and a small group of high lamas fled into the treacherous Himalayan mountains, risking imprisonment, torture, and even death to make the 14-day trek to Nepal. According to reports, they hand-carried with them a 22-pound crystal skull named Ama. Ama is one of the largest known old crystal skulls at 22 pounds and is made of clear quartz with a slight smoky tint. Tibetan quartz is believed to facilitate access to the Akashic record, and the Tibetan Buddhist monks use this crystal skull for healing and divination. But why did these Tibetan monks risk their lives just to hide and protect crystal skulls from the Chinese? Could there be a dangerous component to the Ama skull and other crystal skulls, especially if they were to fall into the wrong hands? The building of a crystal human skull could serve as an antenna for the consciousness of a highly adept mediator to focus their mind for the purposes of healing or destruction. Probably this is the reason why the Tibetan monks risked their lives to such great lengths to protect the object. In March 2011, a 20-pound crystal skull was found at the former home of a high-ranking Nazi SS officer in Bavaria, Germany. It is believed that the skull belonged to Heinrich Himmler, the notorious Nazi leader responsible for overseeing the extermination of millions of people during World War II. The Nazis were known to be obsessed with ancient and extraterrestrial knowledge, including the power of crystal skulls, and believed that possessing them would grant them incredible powers. Hitler himself was a strong believer in the occult and led numerous expeditions around the world in an attempt to possess all such relics and artifacts, hoping to use their powers to turn the tide of the war in the Nazis' favor. It's possible that Himmler acquired the crystal skull to direct its power against those who opposed the Third Reich. The legends surrounding crystal skulls suggest that they have the ability to transform the intention of a human being, making them a powerful weapon that can be used for good or evil. So, the question remains whether Himmler used it to exert his will over others. But why are these mysterious objects in the shape of a skull? The skull shape, fashioned in the exact form of a human cranium, may hold an energetic quality and represent the imminence of the soul upon death. In Tibetan Buddhism, the skull symbolizes the transcendence of death and the impermanence of life. The combination of the clear crystal and dark skull motif represents a holistic bridging of light and dark. And some theories suggest that the power of these objects may have been lost to mankind for centuries, hidden away by a mythical lost civilization, such as Atlantis. Atlantis was a mighty civilization believed to have existed from approximately 300,000 to 12,000 years ago. In the 4th century BC, the Greek philosopher Plato described Atlantis as an advanced island founded by Poseidon, the god of the sea. Atlantis was a model of ethical, philosophical, and moral civilization, as well as being technologically advanced. For the technology of the Atlanteans, we get information from Edgar Cayce, also called the Sleeping Prophet, who is known for his accurate psychic readings. According to him, Atlanteans had great crystals that condensed light in a particular way and sent energy out to outlying home devices, as well as to ships or vehicles moving in the air, the water, and even in the earth. Air technology was not limited to transport crafts, but also included photography at a distance, reading inscriptions through walls at a distance, overcoming gravity, and so on. Other sources mentioned that the Atlanteans also had vehicles with which they could travel into outer space. These vehicles seem not to have been made by the Atlanteans themselves, but by extraterrestrials with whom the Atlanteans had connections. Atlanteans use crystal objects as a means of harnessing energy and storing important information, including skulls. The priests of Atlantis are said to have deposited ancient relics and sacred knowledge into crystal objects, possibly including the skulls. We know that there were 12 tribes in Atlantis. Could it be that each one of them carried a crystal skull? According to the legend, Atlantis disappeared thousands of years ago, sinking into what is now known as the Atlantic Ocean. But if it existed, it is possible that some of its citizens survived, possibly with crystal skulls among their possessions. The Mayans and modern-day Tibetans are said to have links to this lost civilization, with crystal skulls being found in both regions. The importance of these skulls to the Atlanteans is unclear, and if some Atlanteans did survive, it is possible that they carried the crystal skulls to North and South America and Asia. Can the crystal skulls really hold vast amounts of information? In 2012, the Japanese engineering and electronics company Hitachi announced a revolutionary data storage device, a quartz glass chip that could preserve encoded information for millions of years. By encoding data into quartz crystal materials using high-powered lasers, the ones and zeros could be read with a microscope. Although the chip can be read a million years from now, the problem is accessing the information, since you need a reading or decoding device. The crystal scars are a good example of the problem. Although they might contain knowledge, we don't know how to access and use it. We know that quartz can hold power and absorb energy, which suggests that it might have been used for recording or communication devices. Crystal radios, television sets, and other communication types, even powerful spaceships, can be done through quartz crystals. In that way, the idea of quartz crystal technology being used by extraterrestrials as high-tech technology makes a lot of sense. Although we might not be able to extract the information, we should still try to make an effort to see what kind of information might be present within these crystal skulls. Could they be data-gathering devices used for both recording and transmitting information? One example is Einstein, the largest ancient crystal skull discovered, weighing 33 pounds or 15 kilograms. It is believed to be a master computer that records everything like a live feed 24/7 and might have been recording history on this planet since the beginning of time. Einstein came to its present guardian, Caroline Ford, in 1989 from the estate of an explorer-adventurer, who brought back the crystal skull from Mexico in the 20s as part of his collection of rare artifacts, claiming that it is an artifact from the lost civilization of Atlantis. The skull has been tested for unusual energy pulses, or auras, and the resulting aura photograph showed strong, warrior-type protective energy over the skull and blue colors representing wisdom and knowledge. Therefore, concluding that the skull has consciousness and energy around it, which indicates that it be a recording device or an extraterrestrial object used to harness energy. And information the power of the 13 legendary crystal skulls remains a mystery until all of them are discovered. What will happen when they are found and put together according to most legends? These skulls are extraterrestrial, and when reunited they will create a new epic for the planet Earth. Some Native American tribes believe that in times of desperation, the crystal skulls will come together and share their wisdom to help humanity survive. The skulls will reveal the lesson that we are all connected. The search for the crystal skulls may unravel the truth about ancient human origins and the sacredness of the human form. The question remains, will these skulls reunite and harness powerful forces? Let's hope that we'll find out soon. 1948. Now, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and check out our related videos on the screen. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again.